The 2025 Formula One season has exploded once again, this time not with an on-track incident, but with a single repost from Oscar Piastri that has shaken McLaren and reignited the most heated accusation of the year. Oscar Piastri suddenly appeared to endorse a quote accusing McLaren of favoring Lando Norris because he is English, marketable, and better for the brand. The quote, coming from none other than 95-year-old Bernie Ecclestone, instantly dragged McLaren into a hurricane of suspicion. By the time Piastri removed the post, screenshots had already spread across social media, inflaming old debates that many believed had died months ago. But instead, the Las Vegas night sky became the backdrop for a new wave of accusations, this time bigger, louder, and more damaging. And the timing couldn't be worse. Piastri's once commanding championship lead has vanished, replaced by a 24-point deficit against Norris. Strategic missteps, questionable pit calls, and the infamous Papaya Rules have all been placed under the microscope. Is McLaren secretly sabotaging Oscar Piastri to secure the title for Lando Norris? If you're following this chaotic 2025 season, if you want to understand what's really going on behind the scenes and whether McLaren's image of fairness is finally cracking, make sure to subscribe because this video explains everything the team doesn't want you to see. The drama that erupted at the Las Vegas Grand Prix did not come from an engine failure, a crash, or a controversial penalty. Instead, it came from something far more unexpected: a single Instagram repost from Oscar Piastri that sent shockwaves across the paddock. The graphic, quoting Bernie Ecclestone, accused McLaren of favoring Lando Norris because he is more marketable, has star quality, and is better for publicity. It stayed on Piastri's profile for only a few hours, yet the damage was immediate. Screenshots spread like wildfire. And suddenly, the biggest conversation of the weekend wasn't about lap times or tire strategies, but about whether McLaren was intentionally holding back one of its own drivers. To understand why this blew up so violently, we must look back at the trajectory of the 2025 season. After winning the Dutch Grand Prix in August, Piastri held a commanding 34-point lead in the championship. He looked unstoppable, calm, efficient, ruthlessly quick. But since then, everything has changed. 5 races without a podium, a series of strategic calls that mysteriously worked against him, and Norris, once trailing far behind, is now sitting at the top of the standings with 390 points. The shift has been dramatic, sudden, and for many fans, suspicious. This is where Bernie Ecclestone's quote becomes a grenade. Bernie accused McLaren of crafting rules, infamously known as the Papaya Rules, that consistently place Piastri at a disadvantage. He even went as far as saying Oscar is frustrated, upset, and unable to win races easily because the team keeps leaning in favor of Norris. Piastri's repost, intentional or not, instantly gave weight to these claims. And even though he later deleted it, the silence that followed only intensified the speculation. Inside the paddock, the incident has become the biggest psychological storyline of the championship. Some analysts believe Piastri is finally showing cracks. The usually composed Australian has had shorter interviews, sharper radio messages, and a noticeable dip in confidence. Others argue the repost is simply his management's mistake. He has multiple people with access to the account, and accidental reposts are incredibly easy to make on Instagram. But whether it was deliberate or not no longer matters. What matters is that it reflects something deeper, a growing tension that can no longer be hidden behind PR-approved quotes. The truth is this: outright sabotage in Formula One is unrealistic. No team deliberately cripples one of its cars. But strategic preference, soft favoritism, and prioritizing one driver in gray area situations, those things do happen. And when a championship is on the line, even small biases can create massive performance differences. This season, many decisions, from pit windows to tire calls to track position sacrifices, have tended to benefit Norris more often than Piastri. Coincidence? Maybe, but the pattern is difficult for fans to ignore. The Las Vegas qualifying session added even more fuel to the fire. Norris produced a brilliant lap in treacherous wet conditions to secure pole, while Piastri was compromised by Charles Leclerc spinning directly in front of him on his final run. The result? Yet another weekend where Norris starts in a perfect position to extend his lead while Piastri is forced into damage limitation mode. When moments like this keep stacking up, frustration is inevitable, and that frustration may have finally burst onto social media. Meanwhile, former team bosses and F1 veterans are now openly questioning McLaren's methods. Gunther Steiner has already encouraged Piastri to leave McLaren the moment he gets a chance, claiming the young Aussie could thrive anywhere else if he feels restricted. Martin Brundle has warned that McLaren's attempts to micromanage their driver rivalry risk destroying team harmony and hurting both title campaigns. Even neutral analysts have noticed that the internal dynamic seems tighter, colder, and more fragile than the team wants to admit. Zach Brown and Andrea Stella continue denying everything. In every interview, the message is the same. We have two #1 drivers. But the fan base isn't convinced. The perception is slipping away from McLaren's control. And perception, especially in a title fight, is often more powerful than reality. Once people believe favoritism exists, every mistake looks intentional, every strategy call looks suspicious, and every missed opportunity becomes part of a bigger story. Now, the entire world is watching the Las Vegas Grand Prix, not simply to see who wins, but to see how McLaren manages its two drivers under this public pressure. Will Norris be protected again? Will Piastri be left vulnerable? Or will the team attempt to prove fairness by letting them fight freely under the neon lights of the strip? What's clear is this: the repost has become bigger than a mistake. It has become a symbol of the tension bubbling beneath McLaren's polished image, a sign that Piastri's patience is wearing thin, and a spark that could change the direction of the entire championship. So what do you think? Was Oscar Piastri's social media slip a cry for help, a moment of anger, or nothing more than a reckless tap of the screen? Is McLaren genuinely neutral, or is there a silent push to crown Lando Norris as the United Kingdom's next world champion? As for my prediction for the Las Vegas Grand Prix, if conditions stay mixed, I expect Lando Norris to convert pole into victory. But keep your eyes on Max Verstappen. He's starting right behind him, and Vegas is unpredictable. Piastri, if he keeps his head cool, P3 is absolutely on the cards. What's your prediction, and do you believe McLaren is truly playing fair this season?